All right, I'm back. In my last video, I was talking about the Bolshevik Revolution, or also known as the Russian Revolution. Now, we know that history is written by the winner. History is written by the winner. And he who controls the media controls your mind. Okay? Tartaria was a worldwide empire. It covered the whole entire planet because you can still find Tartarian architecture on every continent. But we know that the main part of it was covering Russia and the majority of Asia, as you can see from this map. Now, this is for entertainment purposes only. This is alternative history, conspiracy theories, but the Bolshevik Revolution is very interesting. You should go check it out, go do a little research on it. Okay, it says here that during the Bolshevik Revolution, that 60 million Orthodox Christians were unalive, many of them from starvation caused by food theft, deliberate destruction of agricultural sector. This seems oddly familiar to what's going on today. It says here in this article by this author, it says most people know about the Holocaust, but did you also know that a much worse mass slaughter of human beings occurred a few decades prior when the communist Bolsheviks, many of them Jewish, unalive 60 million Orthodox Christians and Muslims in the Russian Revolution? This is for conspiracy theory. None of this is facts. I'm just reading this article. Go do your own research. Now, the mainstream media, let's give their side of the story. It says that some of the Bolshevik movement leaders were Jewish, but the claim that a majority of Bolshevik leaders were Jewish is an exaggeration. Historical records indicate that while there was some Jewish representation, it was not as significant as conspiracy theory suggests. I'm a conspiracy theorist. This is my conspiracy theory. This is just my opinion. Now, in this article, it says that the Bolshevik Revolution, in an article in American Jewish Community Paper in 1920, it says was largely the product of Jewish thinking, Jewish discontent, and Jewish effort to reconstruct. Okay, it says here that David R. Francis, the United States ambassador in Russia, warned in January of 1918 in a dispatch to Washington saying that the Bolshevik leaders here, most of whom are Jews and 90% of whom are returned exiles, care little for Russia or any other country, but are internationalists and they are trying to start a worldwide social revolution. It also says here that Winston Churchill, we know who he is, the eminent British political leader and historian, said that there is no need to exaggerate the part played in the creation of Bolshevism and the actual bringing about of the Russian Revolution. But these international, and for the most part, atheistical Jews, it probably all outweighs all others with the notable exception of Lenin. The majority of the leading figures are Jews. He said, moreover, the principal inspiration and driving power comes from the Jewish leaders. This is what Winston Churchill said in an article in February of 1920, okay? So why is it that growing up here in America in school, we were taught all about the Holocaust? We were taught about Schindler's List. We were taught about the Diary of Anne Frank and the atrocity of the Holocaust upon the Jewish people. Why is it that we have never heard about the Bolshevik Revolution and the unaliving of 60 million unorthodox Russian Christians? I wonder why. And we know now that we live under the New World Order, but Tartaria, the civilization that our ancestors built, was the Old World Order, okay? You can look on the back of the dollar bill and you see here, Novus Order Seclorum, or it means in Latin, the New Order of Ages, okay? Or the New World Order, where they have brought about a one world government. This was the beginning, this was the signal of the destruction of the old world order of Tartaria, a civilization that had free energy. Our ancestors were geniuses, okay? They did not build buildings just to live in, but buildings had a functional use, okay? They harnessed free energy from the ether or the atmosphere. You can see this picture here that the top of these buildings simulate an electrical plant. Now at the top of these Tartarian buildings, you can see here from the picture, it has an antenna, a resonator, an amplifier, and a resonating modulator. And inside would be red mercury in the container, and it acted as a capacitor or a frequency amplifier. Red mercury is a whole nother rabbit hole. Go do some research, check it out. So on top of these Tartarian buildings were ether antennas. So this was the old world order. When the new world order parasites took over, what they did is just converted it, and that's why you see on top of churches these crosses, okay? Because it was just easier to hide the fact that these old world buildings were actually antennas, and they harnessed it free energy. There's on the top of these spires, they collected free energy. It's just easier to trick you and make you think that this is about religion, but this is really about highly advanced technology. Everything that I say in this video is conspiracy theory. This is just my opinion. This is alternative history conspiracy theories, but there are two sides to every story, and somewhere in the middle is the truth. Our ancestors were highly intelligent. They were geniuses, because these buildings just weren't places that you lived and worked and walked in. These buildings had a functional mechanical purpose. These buildings were actual generators. They were actual alternators. They used buildings, large buildings, like a functional purpose, like the inside of a car motor, to harness free energy and to heal the people. That's absolute genius. Not the basic box buildings that we live in, these cube buildings, these block buildings that we live in today. The buildings that they created had a functional purpose, almost like the inside of a car motor, the actual building. Powerful, genius, highly advanced thought. Okay? Things that we still cannot replicate to this day, or if we could, they won't do it because it has been wiped from history. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna drop some more heaters. I'm gonna drop some more fire. I'm gonna drop some more knowledge to make you think. I'm out.